Hear ye the word of the Lord. Thus saith the Lord, tomorrow, about this time, shall a measure of fine flour be sold for a shekel, and 2 measures of barley for a shekel, in the gate of Samaria. Then a Lord, on whose hand the king leaned, answered the man of God and said, behold, if the Lord would make windows in heaven, might this thing be? And he said, behold, thou shalt see it with thy eyes, but shalt not eat thereof. And there were 4 leprous men at the entering in of the gate, and they said one to another, why sit we here until we die? Now I want to talk with the time that is remaining from this ready word entitled Predicting Prosperity. Predicting prosperity. If you know anything about this particular time in the nation of Israel's history, you'll note that it was a difficult time. This prophecy came in the midst of some of the darkest hours of Israel's young history. The kingdom of Israel at this time had become a land of contention, a land of chaos, and a land of confusion. Sounds a lot like King, don't it?
Yeah.
The nation was divided. Enemies were advancing. Destruction and ruin were imminent. As a matter of fact, they were on the horizon. And in the midst of these barren times, God raised up the office of the prophet. And the office of the prophet was again resurrected by God to aid the struggling, fledgling nation and to help it survive in strange times. God had raised up this office of the prophet through the powerful man of God named Elijah. But Elijah had passed off the scene and had gone on with God, but he left his mantle around. And Elijah told his school of prophets, whoever is hanging around me at the time of my ascension, I'm going to let my mantle fall on them. Elisha was the prophet upon whom Elijah's mantle fell, and Elisha began to build up and speak to a nation that was crumbling in his midst. The promise of provision and prosperity that Elisha was predicting had all been thrown away and to the side. Nobody was thinking that God could do it anymore. Moses was in the distant that in Elisha's time, milk and honey wouldn't flow. But there was darkness and destruction in the land. And so the Lord needed to use his own personal might to bring the people deliverance. During this time of blight and plight, things had gotten so dark in the city. At the time Elisha makes this predictive prophecy, Jerusalem was under siege by the Syrians. They were out